Okay, so the next part we're going to look at is the guitar solo. Every rockin' guitar song needs a good guitar solo. Now, I'll be the first to admit I'm not the greatest guitarist in the world. Definitely not as good as I used to be. Very much out of practice. So when I came to approaching this guitar solo, I kind of figured the riff's really busy. The main part of the guitar is really busy. So I wanted to do something a bit more simple, a bit more textural for the riff. And this is what I came up with. Like that delay tail off at the end. Okay, let's have a look and see how we've popped this together. Now, as you can see, I'm using Reason, if I haven't already mentioned that. And here is the signal path for the guitar solo. It's basically, again, it's just a guitar tone coming out of the Pod Farm 2, which has been recorded. And then what I've done is I've actually popped 3 different delays onto the track. They're mixed down sort of low as well compared to the signal, and then that's fed back through. Now if we flick this around, you can see it's a bit of a mess, but this works really well. I've got the signal coming out into the Spider merger splitter, and from here it splits out. We've got the one copy of the signal goes through into the little line mixer here. That's the original signal, and then the other copies go through to the 3 delay effects, which then come back into the line mixer. So you can see we've got the original, the very short delay, the medium delay, and a long delay. These are all completely wet with about the same amount of feedback on each. Where it varies is the amount of delay. Now, this is a little trick I picked up from Joe Satriani. If you've ever seen his pedal board, he has 2 or 3 delay pedals sitting on his board that he turns on and off during his various solos. This whole idea of this is to give a much wider, expansive sound without it almost sounds reverb like, but it's not. It still has that sort of delay echoing as well. And I find that when you use the echo coming from the delays, it's a lot smoother, nowhere near as harsh as sort of the slap back you get from a reverb that's set the same sort of way. So let's have a listen to this individually. So we'll just solo this one out, and I'll have a play with the various delays so you can get an idea on what they all sound like. So you can see what I've also done is where these delays come back through, they're panned differently in their own little sub-mix here. So obviously the original signal, maximum volume, straight down the middle. The first delay's hard to the left, second delay's hard to the right, and the long delay is also down the middle. So it makes a nice stereo spread for the track. We have another listen to it again, just with all of them together. And particularly the end, because the sustained note with the bend at the end with these delays, I think sounds really cool. So there we go. That's the guitar solo. Okay, last but not least, we've got the drums. Now, my drum workflow is probably a little bit different than what a lot of people do. So I'll do my best to try and explain it. I try not to program the drums in step by step. I find does tend to sound a little robotic. What I like to do, and I'll expand this out, is I actually play the drums on my MIDI keyboard, but I'm not the greatest keyboard drummer in the world. So I tend to split the takes into the various sort of sides of playing drums. So I'll kind of do my kick, where I hear the kick in a track. I'll then do another note lane for my snares and toms. Then I'll do another note lane where I'm just focusing on the cymbals and the hi-hats. And I always generally put the fills in on their own lane. When you're doing drums for a sort of rock music, when you're doing it in an application, like Reason, you need to remember there are physical limitations to what a drummer can actually do. So if you want it to sound like real drums, you've really got to remember that a drummer can only hit 4 things at a time. So you've basically got their 2 hands and their 2 feet. So I tend to, as I said, play it on the keyboard, 2 fingers, doing each of the parts as I go, and then building them up. Now, for the sound of the drums, I'm going to bring up the rack here, and just so you can see, I've got my own custom one here that I've got, but it's actually based off the Reason drum kits. If you've got Reason, you want to do some real drums, drop the cash on the Reason drum kits. It's fantastic. There are some really great sounding kits in there. Now, the drum kit I use for the basis of most of the kits that I end up putting together. If you have a look in the Reason drum kits, under the producer kits, you have the, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, Jock Skog metal kit. I do then go through and tweak it a little bit, but as a basis to get you started, especially for hard rock sort of music, this kit sounds fantastic. As part of your process of going through and doing your mix, you will go through. You can see I've got EQ on a lot of the actual individual channels here. Now you'll see here something that's a little bit different is this is the producer kit. It's all running through its own combinator. It's got its own mixer. The newest stuff I've been working on, I've made a template where I'm throwing each of these tracks out through the new SSL mixer, which you'll see in later videos. This was the first track I recorded with Reason 6. I was still sort of getting my head around it, and I've just decided to leave it in here for now. It's a fair bit of work to go through and bump everything out through the mixer. That's a story for another video. In fact, if you have a look on the Reason website, there's actually some very good videos in there showing you about this. So I've left it in here for now. The couple of little things that I've done a little bit different. I've added a couple of extra reverb units and little effect sends to the snare and the kick, and I've stuck a pulverizer up the top, based it off the punching bag, changed some of the settings. It gives it that extra little bit of kick. So what we might do, let's just see what we've got this set up. Let's play some of the beat, and I'll show you just what sort of difference that pulverizer does make. Yep, so we go back to the rack. So here's the drum sound just soloed out. If we take the pulverizer off, you'll hear a big difference, and I'll flick back and forth between the two. So you can hear that does make a huge difference there. One of the other little things I did in this track, great for the rock songs when the drums tend to be really powerful, is when you're sort of just sitting there writing quarter notes on the hi-hats like this track does. It's good to stick some charlies, some tambourines over the top. So let's have a listen to this main beat, and let's hear what it sounds like with and without the tambourine added on. So we'll start it off without it, and then I'll add it back in. It's subtle, but I find when you place it right in the mix, it does fill out that drum sound a little, gives a bit more sort of textural dynamics to the drum sound, and I like it. So there we have it for this video, my first work in progress using Reason to make rock music. If you liked it, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you've got any questions, leave some comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. And while you're at it, maybe if you want to go over and check out my blog at chriswatsonmusic.com, and you'll see all the social media links there to follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and do whatever you feel you need to do to stalk me. So until next time, catch you later.